Hello, YouTube. My name is Daith, and today, oh my god, what? I can't fucking talk in this thing. Anyways, how we doing today, YouTube? Let me get my glasses on here and. Oh. So today I was thinking I was just gonna go over my general collecting habits, just for fun. So it's been a while since I've done a video. I've had a nasty cough here for the last few weeks, so I didn't want to record. It still pops up from time to time now, but anyways, I think I'm finally to the point where it's not gonna friggin', start making me cough up a lung here. So, so as you can tell, most of my collection you can see up above. You know, I've got a pretty sizable Transformer collection, and that's in between all toy lines of the franchise. So I've got everything from like old G1, usually reissued, but I've got some nice vintage Beast Wars this Black Arachnia I just picked up at the Washington State Toy Show down in Vancouver a few weeks ago. Sadly, right when that cough was starting. Whew. And everything up to current with the brand new Age of the Primes Armada Red Alert here. So, and even little off the wall things like just recently I went and grabbed a few of the Mix Mashers, which obviously not just Transformers there. I've got a little bit of Boba with the Optimus here. But overall, my collecting habits run, a pretty wide net of like different franchises I collect. So I'll admit, back in the day when I was a kid, Ninja Turtles were like the biggest thing. That and G.I. Joe. But, these days I've there's so many different things of turtles out there that, and I've never while I keep up with the series on TV and everything from time to time, it's never been a toy line that I've actively tried to collect since, the early 90s. I still get a little bit here because, especially in the last couple of years, I've gotten a lot of the Turtles of Grayskull figures since, one of the big things I have gotten back into collecting has been Masters of the Universe. So, I mean, I've got in just the last few years, I've gotten, quite a bit of He-Man back into my life here. Ugh. But, that's just a few parts of my collecting habits there too. I mean, I've in the last, probably about 7, 8 years, I've just restarted Marvel Legends, everything. And a lot of it, a lot of my collecting it comes from usually two camps: Spider-Man stuff and X-Men stuff. You know, Agent Venom and Marrow being two of my newest here. But that said, Star Wars in starting with Power of the Force too. That was when a lot of my collecting habits really started to form. Even though I wasn't actively the one collecting it at the time. Most of the Power of the Force 2 stuff I got as a kid was usually just Christmas and birthday presents, which was like one time a year since my birthday is not that far off from Christmas. But over the years, you know, the way I see Star Wars these days is like I'm so done with like the original trilogy and stuff. I've collected so much of original trilogy since Power of the Force, so it's like it burns me out. So if I'm going to, do anything Star Wars, I want something new or, off from the movies. I haven't really done a lot with like, the sequel trilogy, I'll admit. But like for me, stuff like Prince Shizor here from Shadows of the Empire. That's, one of my big things that I like, seeing. Or uh, oh, Darth Revan from Knights of the Old Republic, whose saber looks a little bent at this point. And then, gotta have some, let me get him in focus here. Gotta have Grogu. Mando's up here too, but he's a little bit further back behind some people. So Star Wars to me anymore is a lot of like Disney Plus or video game or Legends material that, just is off the beaten path. I don't care to, collect movie stuff that often anymore. Though, like, my biggest thing here in the last, I think I just put a pre-order down for a vintage vintage collection Carson Teva, which another thing is that these days with Star Wars, I usually don't go vintage collection. Part of that to me was when the vintage collection started, Black Series was about all I could find at the stores. So it kind of prompted me to just abandon the 3 3/4 inch line because I couldn't find it. You know, if that's not what I'm going to be seeing in the stores, I don't want to try it, go out of my way to collect it. It's only just recently that I've actually seen a decent amount in stores again. But that's like how many years I've missed out on, and I don't want to go back on it. I know, like, I know the 6 inch scale isn't conductive for like, vehicles and stuff, but I mean, to me, as much as I like the vehicles too, I mean, I'm a friggin', I am kind of a vehicle buff. I love, reading the technical manuals that they had years ago. The essential guides were always some of my favorite, reference materials. But these days, it's like I get in with the characters more often than I do with the actual like play patterns. So as much as I would like to be able to do vehicles and stuff, one I enjoy the characters more, and two, space danger. If you could see the remaining parts around me, I don't have a lot of room left. So, and a lot of the stuff I collect, I hate to say, gets binned up not soon after I get it. I mean, I try and find space for the new stuff, but that usually ends up, with me pushing something down into the bins that was here. And that's kind of an issue with my collecting it these days too. But anyways, let's go on. Let's see. I mean, so let's see. I've gone Star Wars. I mean, I said GI Joe already back in the day, but since Classified started with the 6 inch line, ah man, get in there, Roblox, and ah, I am not good at positioning. So, ah man, he is not coming in well with the lighting too either. Okay, but Classified's been like one of those lines where I've gone heavy in, but I haven't gone full in. I mean, I did grab the His tank with the HasLab a few years ago, but I neglected from getting like the any of the other HasLabs because I just don't have the room for them. It's one of those things where it's like you gotta have the reality of where you are, you know, compared to like what you want. Besides my wallet. But in that case, but I mean, I've got a good collection of Joes. A lot of the classified figures I get now are between I just really like the look of them, or it's nostalgia for the old 3 3/4 Joes I had back as a kid. So, I mean, there's definitely been a lot of that lately. But going on, let's go off some of my more oddball things here. One of my only I can't even remember what this line's called, but I am a big fan of anime, so I mean, And my dress up darling, sadly, was one of the ones I got into pretty hard. So Marin Kitagawa there was one of the figures I had to get. I didn't want to go, put it this way, I don't like, showing off like, the more pervy sides of anime, but that was just kind of a cute little, favorite character type of thing where I, didn't feel like it was gonna like the little chibi style is kind of fun. But that is kind of the only time I've gone after one of those. But there has been some Figmas in from the same company that I've gotten here in recent years. And with that, now Fumi here from Rising of the Shield Hero. I'll admit, not a friggin' anime that a lot of people have some love for. I mean, the first season I think is still the best, and even then, that's very problematic for some people. Subject matter and all. And then, let's see. This is only a very small sampling of what I have. I mean, granted, I don't have a lot of this franchise, but Digimon. Always been a big Digimon fan since the show started back in the early 2000s. Used to have a back in ceramics class, I did a whole bunch of like little ceramic bowls and stuff with like etches of the different Digimon crests at one point. Ugh, I get into stuff too easy. But let's see. I mean, fun little collectibles at times too is part of the game. So I do the little Lego minifigures when the like deals actually catch my eye. Dungeons and Dragons was an awesome way to do it. Oh, I haven't been doing a whole lot of those in recent years, but it's just like one of the things I actually do for my crew at work. There's only a few of us there, so we all have our little stockings at Christmas. I get them a little Lego minifigure blind bag every year. It's just kind of a fun little gag, little toy in their stocking type of thing. Alrighty, so let's see. I think I've pretty much represented most of what I got up on my shelf here. Oh, actually, speaking of Digimon, also goes into another subset. My nice little figurized Beelzemon that I built here recently. That's another thing. I'm big into Gundam and different figurized model kits. They haven't really done DBZ, even though I'm a decent DBZ fan. It's just straight up, action figures type that like that I could get anywhere else. I don't really go after usually. If I wanted Goku, I could find like how many different Goku figures if I wanted to. But I do enjoy a little building things here. Lego has sadly been kind of, on the back burner because it's not easy to, it's one of those things where it's like I'd have to have dedicated, display area, and most of my display area is already taken up. But, you know, on the, back to the Transformers front, the little blockies little model kits, I've only started recently finding them recently in town, and like these have been, a fun little, side project that probably only takes about 10 minutes to put together at most. Especially once you put one together, it seems like most of them aren't too hard to figure out afterwards. They all have the same basic construction since they don't have to worry about transforming or anything. Not usually a thing I like. I prefer my transformers to be able to transform, but sometimes, if it's still a fun little project to, just put together. And as you saw earlier, oh yes, Power Rangers, yes, of course. I mean, can't really see much of my, White Ranger jacket, but the whole Lord Draken helmet earlier. And Lightning Collection was a big thing for me when it started up. I've got a good portion of Mighty Morphin and a lot of the other, favorite teams like Dino Thunder and stuff like that. But it's that's one of those things where I don't know if I'm gonna, keep collecting or not because Playmates isn't really wowing me. And honestly, I've kind of got most of what I want. I would like to go back and get like the whole like Mighty Morphin helmet collection, but right now it's just you can't get all the helmets in one toy line, so it's like I don't want to go back and pay buku bucks for what Bandai did with the Legacy line, and then Lightning Collection only got through about half of those helmets too. So, and you never even got to anything past Mighty Morphin, which was sad. I would love to see some other seasons get helmets, but that's a long road to go through. But getting a Doggy Kruger helmet would be friggin' awesome. So, anyways, looking around here. What else? So, I mean, Masterverse. I mean, well, Mo, for Motu, I've gone a little bit into Masterverse and a lot into Origins in recent years. I've only dipped into classics a couple times just to get certain characters I haven't seen in the other lines. But let's see. Like right now, above me, I have at from the Revolution line. I got Adam, Prince Adam, and the generic He-Man from that. I want to say was that Revolutions He-Man? I'm not sure. I can't remember. But Masterverse, I got those two up there. I got King Grayskull. I got She-Ra, and I've got the two sorceress versions of Tila up above me too. So, anyways, I'm gonna say it. I mean, my collection runs all over the place. It's one of those things where it's like I like something, I buy it. I mean, I try and hold myself back on things that I know are gonna be oh a bit hard to store or keep around, especially these days with so much running out of space here. Oh, but it doesn't. I mean, honestly, I could try probably putting some more shelves above there, but uh, right now it's just not easy. Fitting everything in I like is going to be a tough call in coming years, but at, at that point, I probably just need to get a bigger place. Oh, anyways, but I tend to, well, I also have, I know I don't have like a anything nearby, but I got a pretty sizable amiibo collection too. And that's partially for the games and partially because I like having a nice little statue representation of the characters. I'm a big Nintendo fan. You know, as far as the higher end consoles, I've jumped back and forth between Microsoft and Xbox over the years, but Nintendo has always been the one console I always pick up. So what I grew up with, and I still enjoy playing Mario and Zelda a lot from time to time. Pokemon also a big thing, even though I don't really have much Pokemon representation around here. Hmm. Anyways, but just over the years, my collection has grown from so well. Going back to the beginning, my collecting habits really didn't, for myself, didn't really start until senior year of high school, I would say, and that's when I got my first job, and my first, few purchases for my collection would have been, sadly at the time, Beast Machines, Optimus Primal, and, the other Beast Machines show characters, which they need better representation. Oh, I know there's quite a few Beast Machines haters, both cartoon and with the toy line, and there's very much justification for both, but it's never been one of those lines that I've completely hated. Actually, at the toy show the other day, I finally got one of the last few Beast Machines show characters I was needing representation with Strika here. Oh man, I've never really had a good chance to buy her until just this last few weeks, and but oh, no, kind of going back to the whole Marin Kitagawa thing and stuff. My one last, so my only U2's figurine so far is Amalie, or Monarch in that case. Big fan of her work. That's the other reason I got Marin, is that she voices her. But oh, a mess. I am a mess, and there is a mess. But anyways, I think that's gonna go ahead and conclude what I'm doing for today. Just wanted to make a small little video to, make sure, yeah, I'm still here, people. Uh, anyways, thank you for watching. I know this isn't much of fun, other than, it's kind of interesting to see what I'm into here. Anyways, have a good day and see y'all later.